definitely a few questions, and then in a little while I'm going to open things up to you guys. But to start out, to go back to that unemployment thing that's kind of looming over almost any subject I cover in the paper, and to pick up on something Sheila started to talk about, can we just talk about some of the jobs that could be created in various green industries? I mean, as I was having the conversations I had for this article I wrote, I mean, I just had two things that came up. I'm not going to claim them as my ideas, but why doesn't some RISD student create the coolest cloth bag company in the country? Why aren't some of the startups, Beta Spring, you guys at Startup Kings and Queens, you know, apparently there's a kind of a big vacuum when it comes to compost services, a real market that's just waiting to be kind of capitalized on in Rhode Island. But my question for you guys is, what are some of the jobs that we could have here in the green fields?
I've got an easy answer. Well, building and construction actually creates a lot of temporary jobs, but it also creates permanent jobs in the facilities that are created. So you take a historic building like this one, let's say you renovate it. There was a study not long ago that said for every $1 million of construction spending, 37 jobs are created. Now that's everybody from the guy who's hauling trash off the site to the architects and engineers. That's 37 jobs. So you spend a $10 million building, which is not a big building. You know, do the math, that's 370 jobs. You get a $100 million investment in our infrastructure and our historic buildings, at 3,700. That starts to really move the needle. And then you have facilities, which are economic engines in itself. The leasable office space, the schools, that type of thing. So, and this is why I keep coming back to historic preservation and redevelopment of our cities as one of the easy ways we can be greener.
I'll narrow my answer to that question to just one field.
Sure.
Because I think lots of folks could hear, and I won't talk about the green infrastructure jobs out there, because I think there are others, like Sheila, who will go down that path much more deeper than I. But for those of you that don't know, Rhode Island exports, has a huge export market out of Quonset Point of recyclable goods. I would say a commodity market with a one-way direction of out of Rhode Island. The amount of material that Resource Recovery collects in its recycling systems is just astronomical. And almost all of it is being shipped out to Quonset Point, put on a barge, put on a boat, and leaving the state. This is our raw materials for the future of manufacturing in the United States, is collecting used goods. This is not garbage. This is gold. Sometimes literally gold. Talking about our e-waste, for example. But there's all of this raw materials that's available for us to use at a low transportation cost right around the corner. And it comes from all of those disposable water bottles that we decide to use. Every one of those aluminum cans that we throw in the recycle bin. Each one of those blister packs that our kids' toys are packaged in. This is the raw materials for the future of manufacturing. What needs to happen is that we have the large corporations that sell us these products, they need the raw materials back in and sourcing it from overseas, and citing the mines and the petroleum manufacturing or processing facilities. As those resource chains become more and more strained in a world where we have unpredictable weather, where we have climate change, where we have wars over water, where we have war again and again and again. If you look at a domestic market of raw materials, we don't have to look farther than the stuff that we keep in our fridge and we put on our shelves every day. And what we need is innovative individuals with the technical know-how and the innovation to say, I can take these previous goods and put them into a new material that I can then sell to the folks that want a stable source of raw material. That's just repurposed material. To melt down the plastic, chip down the plastic, melt it into something that you can then sell as a pellet to somebody who's going to build new plastic materials out of it.
Can you just give us a few examples of products that are currently made from recycled goods?
Products, your newspaper, for example. I don't know, is that a compostable cup? So that probably wasn't. Most of your aluminum cans, your plastic bottles, your reusable reusable plastic-based bags are made out of old soda bottles, for example. I had a meeting not too long ago with somebody who creates art out of recyclable materials. We passed a new law recently to repurpose paint that's been, after it's discarded, you got that little bit left to kind of coagulate it, and it can be turned into things like asphalt instead of making concrete, which is not necessarily the greatest environmental process, is creating concrete. But you can use these type of materials in new ways. All you have to do is think about what is this, have a creative individual think about what is the component parts of this, and how can I use it to make a new product or a new item, and to take out the raw materials from it. And I would even say in the whole recycling industry that we passed a new law last year about collecting discarded mattresses, that the manufacturers of these mattresses are going to be paying for, but we need people to break them down. There aren't machines out there that takes a mattress and strips it of its parts, but we need people to individually sit there and cut apart a mattress and take the materials and sort them and to ship them off to the people that are going to then recycle the materials. And these are, once, as Sheila said, these are the low barrier to entry jobs. And then we see other states capitalizing on this by putting as a redevelopment workforce in to manage their materials, process their materials as a way to get back into the workforce. But it takes a dedication doing it, and a whole lot of other things that involve various labor regulations and those type of ideas. But it just takes a focus on saying, this is not garbage, this is our new material, this is our new raw materials.
I'm glad you did the trash, because I was debating trash or green infrastructure, trash or green infrastructure. But so when we think about the impacts of climate change that we're going to be seeing and are seeing already here in Rhode Island, we get more intense and more frequent storms. We get the flooding that goes with that, and we also get more high heat days. So it helps that the solution to both of those things is the same thing. So part of the problem that we see in the city of Providence in particular is 60% of the surface area of Providence is covered with pavement or buildings. So when the rain falls, there's nowhere for it to go. It also means there's not as many trees as we need there to be in order to live comfortably here. So one of the ways that we need to be looking at how we adapt to climate change is getting rid of some of that pavement and figuring out how to capture the rain where it falls. So there's lots of good jobs that are going to be happening out of that. So we need people with jackhammers who are going to get rid of that pavement for us. So there's the basic construction and laborer types of positions with that. We need the designers and engineers who are going to figure out ways to make sure that the water goes somewhere that doesn't cause a sinkhole somewhere else is an important piece of figuring out that piece of things. We need the horticulturists who are going to figure out what plants are going to thrive in those kinds of crazy conditions of an urban environment that has both lots of water sometimes and no water and incredible heat at some other times, and people to maintain those projects so that they work well as well.